Hey y'all, my name is Ashley and I am a collector and hoarder of makeup, and to continue to collect and hoard makeup, I promised I would make content, so here I am. Alright, so today I'm going to be reviewing and trying out the Danessa Myricks Lightwork Volume 4 palette. Wait, IV. Yeah, IV is 4. There we go. So if that sounds interesting to you and you're curious about the formulas in this palette, what the shades look like, and how I got this look, then go ahead and continue watching. Alright, so I'm starting this video off a little bit different. I do have eyeshadow on my eyes, just because I feel like this Danessa Myricks Lightwork Volume 4 palette is mostly filled with toppers. There's no mattes. I understand on Danessa Myricks Beauty's Instagram page, they do have a lot of looks being shown using that as the full look. To me, this is a topper palette because that is not my everyday look and that is also not my style. So inside this palette, you do have 14 beautiful shades with 4 different formulas. And most of these are a topper in my opinion. So you've got a Velvet Chrome formula, which is an Ultra-Chromatic color shifting velvety smooth formula. And there's going to be 8 of those shades in this palette. Then you have 2 glass metallics, which are ultra reflective Dazzlers with a glass-like finish. Definitely a more of a topper shade in my opinion. And then you've also got the pressed chrome flakes, which is basically a pressed cream version of the Infinite chrome flakes that she already has in those little pots. And finally, you have the Aqua chromes, which are going to be water activated liners that have duochrome pigments in them. I'm going to show you the inside of the palette one more time. And this palette does retail for $125, which is why we're here. Because is this really worth $125? I don't know. We're going to see. So I want to start off by telling you what I already have on my eyes today. And I did use a mixture, what are these called? Of the About Face Fluid Eye Paint in the shade Smoke Signal, which is really beautiful, dark forest green. This is absolutely something I've been reaching for a lot lately. And then for the lighter green on my eyes, I use the Norvina Volume 6 palette. I really just mostly use the shade B5 and a little bit of the E3 to kind of blend together the About Face product with the eyeshadow. And of course, I did put on a winged liner already. So let's go ahead and talk about the Velvet Chromes. The Velvet Chromes, you're going to have 8 different shades. Starting off with the shade Trance, which is going to be a sapphire to deep violet shift. The shade Nirvana, which is a copper to olive green shift. We have the shade Sixth Sense, which is going to be a pale green to a cool nude shift. The shade Out of Body, which is going to be a jade green to a peacock blue. The shade Zen, which is going to be green to bronze. The shade Trippy, which is going to be rose gold to green. The shade Escapism, which is going to be a bright green to dark green. The shade Awakening, which is going to be a teal to a purple. And now we have the glass metallics. So these 2 shades are going to be Divinity, which is a sparkling citrine, and then the shade Angels, which is a sparkling diamond. Now for the pressed chrome flakes, we have the shade Heaven, which is going to be a mint to a pastel teal shift. And then finally Paradise, which is going to be a fuchsia to green shift. And the last 2 shades are going to be the Aqua chromes. And we're going to have the shade Intuition, which is a bright blue to a pale lilac. And the shade Aura, which is going to be a soft purple to a brighter violet purple. I want to start off by using one of the Velvet Chromes. So I think I'm kind of torn between the shade Awakening, Escapism, Out of Body. There's just so many I want to dive into. I think I'm actually going to use the shade Out of Body just because it kind of goes with the greens that I have in my eye already. And I'm going to use this in the center of my eyelid. So I'm going to take that shade Out of Body and just kind of press it into the center of my lid. And I'm going to start off by using a brush, and then I will dip my finger into it. Actually, I'm going to zoom you in first. So I'm going to start off with the shade Out of Body using a brush on my center lid. Okay, that is really pretty. It kind of reminds me of like a mermaid. and it really goes on really nicely. I'm just kind of patting it and then smoothing it out, but it's blending really nicely with the eyeshadow that I already have on my eyes, which I love. Okay. Oh, I really like that. Okay. I think I'm going to take the shade Sixth Sense and kind of just like dab it into the middle. And I'm going to use my finger for that. So just like, just a little bit of brightness in the center eye. So it really applies nicely both with your finger and the brush. Like, I honestly can't see a difference. But I am going to take the brush to blend both really nicely together. All right, I think I'm gonna add some of this graphic liner. So I'm actually going to spritz it with like an Evian mist because I'm too lazy to fill a dropper of water. And so when I play with graphic liners, and I usually use the Suvia Beauty ones, this is what I do. I kind of just like little spritz. And then I take a small detailing brush like this. It's like super skinny. And just kind of mix it together until it gets a little bit thicker and less watery, and then use that to apply the liner. And I'll wipe off any excess. So I'm gonna be using the shade Aura, and I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of a graphic line above, like in my crease, but not the full crease, just kind of the middle of it, if that makes any sense. Kind of just like accentuate the center of my eyelid. I don't know how I feel about that. It's not showing up like I would hope. It's not as like bright and poppy. And that could be because I use such dark eyeshadow. I'm also gonna take a little bit of that and I'm gonna go ahead and just like do the underneath of my wing. To see what it looks like without color underneath it. It's very subtle, so it's not as poppy as I would think it would be. It's super subtle, which is kind of a disappointing because I kind of want to be like where you could just use that as a liner for the look of without eyeshadow. But even with no eyeshadow underneath it, it's still kind of hard to show up. I think now it's time to go ahead and dig into the pressed chrome flakes. So I'm going to dip into the shade Heaven, which this is not picking up easily. Okay, you really have to dig your finger in there to get anything to show up. So then I'm gonna press just a smidge in the center of my eyelid. Oh, for fuck's sake. It's not coming off my finger at all. So that's great. Okay, I'm gonna try using a brush. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna use a flat brush right here. Try to pick up the flakes that way and see if I can get them to press on to the center of my eyelid. I feel like this formula would be one you would use with your finger. So I'm very shocked to see that it's not working and it's not picking up on a fucking brush either. Okay, I got like a small bit on my brush. Let's see if I can get it on my center. Okay, so it applies well with the brush. It's just really difficult to get it to pick up. So I'm kind of just patting it on, and I'm kind of having to scoop it out of the pan, which is not how I thought this was gonna go. And it feels really heavy on the eyelid, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna take that small detailing brush and pick up some more of the Sixth Sense so that way I can kind of blend it all together. So it's not just a line. It's starting to look that way. And then the same with the shade Out of Body. So I want everything to be really, really well blended. And now I feel like my whole eyes become like this duochrome mess. Okay. Let's go ahead and add some color to the bottom lash line. I'm gonna go ahead and use the shade, I think I'm gonna use the shade Awakening to apply to my bottom lash line, just because I feel like greens and purples go really well together. So I'm gonna take the shade Awakening, and I'm gonna start from my outer corner to my inner corner. I should be able to make it blend with that graphic liner really nicely as well. Whew. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a repeat of what I did on this side to this side of my face, add some lashes, and then we'll go ahead and play with some of the glass metallics in this palette as well. All right, so I went ahead and added some lipstick, got the other eye on, added some lashes, which I feel like really tied everything together. I did feel like there was a lot going on. So I want to finish up this look by trying out one of the glass metallics. And I'm going to be using the shade Angel. And I'm going to be putting it in my inner corner to just brighten things up. So I'm going to go ahead and take a very small little fluffy brush and just kind of dabble it right in here. Oh, that is gorgeous. Okay, so that really reminds me of like the sparkle you get from like the Diamond Bomb. Is it Diamond Bomb? I think it's the Diamond Bomb. Like the highlighter from Fenty that everyone went crazy for like a couple years ago. That's what it reminds me of. It doesn't have the same texture though. Like it's not like that gel formula. But like the finish, that's what it reminds me of. Gosh, I'm going to like a Kinder meetup tonight. And this is what I'm gonna look like. I want to share my first impression thoughts on this palette. I truly don't believe it's worth $125, which is really sad to say because like everything that I've tried from Danessa Myricks so far, which includes like the Yummy Skin Foundation. I believe I have like that balm as well. And I have like a shit ton of those chrome flakes and I really enjoy those products. So I'm really disappointed that I spent $125 on a palette where two of the biggest shades in this palette, which are going to be these like pressed chrome flakes right here, I can't even get it to pick up. So I know that there was brushes released with this palette, but they're sold out. So like, do I need to buy those brushes to be able to use those or like what's going on? So I'm going to continue to play with it because I spent $125 on this. But I really like the velvet chrome. So all of the majority of like, basically if the shades are on the outside of the palette, I really love them. The stuff on the inside, like the center row, I'm not a fan of. The aqua liners or the aqua chrome liners, I find like on top of eyeshadow and just on top of bare skin, they don't pop. And so I was expecting like a more intense duochrome, especially since I've seen what's on Instagram and I've seen like what everyone else is promoting. So why can't I get the same result? But I'm going to keep trying this out. And if my mind changes, I will let you know. But if you enjoyed this video, if you think $125 is too much for any eyeshadow palette, let me know down below. But until next time, bye y'all.